But as the movie goes on, that becomes less and less that way.
It does.
By the time you get to the last 30, 40 minutes, you're like totally with it, 100%.
Absolutely. And early on, I was saying like a lot of like the chase scenes, the fight scenes, I'm like, well, this isn't Joe Johnston's strong suit. He's just kind of weak on this. But there comes a point, like the more they fight, the closer they get to the end, it's almost like whatever tricks he had, he saved them up for the end, which I would recommend to everybody.
Yeah.
Because I'd say like by the time they get to the last fights, they had to hit me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
No question.
that face off with him. It's funny how often the movie felt like to me like, oh, it's about to be over, but it wouldn't be. And I was so happy. But yeah, the final face off with him and the Red Skull, it's like, that was pretty badass.
Well, a lot of films lately we've noticed, especially Marvel films, have had a bad time with doing, blowing their wad too early on the action, and then the final fight feels anticlimactic. This ain't that way. The
Right.
final fight here is like, it would be a super inventive, really cool fight, no matter what type of film it was in.
Yeah.
It's really neat to watch it play out. It was really imaginative, and by the end, it's kind of, like you said earlier, it's emotional. It'll get to you.
Yeah.
I think that Joe Johnston's strength is in the details.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so good. He's so careful about the details. There's so many little things. I feel like I want to rewatch this just to catch stuff I might have missed going on in the background. One thing that made me really happy is during the World's Fair, you get to see the original Human Torch for a second.
Oh, the man. He really goes through the entire history of Marvel Comics from World War II and just sticks stuff everywhere.
Oh, it was great. The only thing I was missing was, like, I wish there had been more of the invaders in there.
I know.
Cool.
Well, yeah, like the Submariner could have showed up at some point.
With that vampire guy. Was the vampire villain guy?
Oh, geez. Baron Blood.
Yeah, Baron Blood. I love Baron Blood. Yes, there was a Nazi vampire.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't there be?
Of course.
Except for it being overkill, I suppose.
But when it comes to the broad strokes, I think that's where he stumbles a bit. And I think that, like, that has to do with when he's trying to like do this big picture America and Captain America, and like when he does his montages, because they've got to have this sequence where they go, he went from successfully winning one battle to being the hero of America and all the soldiers and being a legend in history. But obviously we don't have time to show you that, so we're gonna just montage that bitch. And I feel like it's awkward. Part of it that's awkward is like you've got Nazis with bright blue laser guns. And it just feels weird. I know it's a comics thing, but it bothered me.
Oh.
I was like, wow, these Nazis have laser guns and they're colorful. And that looks weird in the context
they were
of
all in black. I mean, they were totally like the prototypes for the stormtroopers.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were prototypes like the Star Wars stormtroopers.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Star Wars stormtroopers. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like the elements.
It's like they retroactively went back and went like, oh, George Lucas ripped us off.
Oddly, the elements of science fiction in here weren't steampunky enough, maybe. I don't know. They just looked like they were anachronistic, like the lasers, and whenever they were like science fiction-y technology in here, it looked like something you'd expect to see, honestly, in the future, not a period piece laser gun. They should have been more ray gunny.
You know what? Okay, I will give you that one. Yeah. I mean, it didn't bother me while I was watching it, but it's a valid point.
Once again, a nitpick, and I admit it's a nitpick, but it's so much of the movie has it in it that I couldn't help but start to squirm a little bit seeing it.
Something I would say to people who still think Captain America is silly, or he's going to be a big Boy Scout like Superman. He's a soldier, and unlike Superman, Batman, and almost any other superhero that you probably like, he's not afraid to kill.
No, this is a war.
It's a war.
And people die, and
he carries a gun and he uses it. He's got a shield too.
He kills some motherfuckers. He throws a guy into an airplane propeller.
Oh yeah, and it's awesome too. You go, oh fuck. But I guarantee if you lined up all 6 Batman movies all together, the fighting in that would not all together wouldn't equal the fighting that's in this movie right here.
You're absolutely right. I think that that's one of the strongest points. Chris Evans does a fantastic job as the physical actor in here. They totally pulled off the shield.
Oh, boy, did they ever.
I mean, not only, first off, this is the only live action film ever made that the 3D makes it worth going to see.
Now, would you count Avatar in some of its live action?
No, because the only parts that are really cool in 3D are the animated parts. So I wouldn't.
Yeah. Where we always say, like, don't bother seeing it in 3D. No, you need to see this movie in 3D.
Dude, there was a scene I jumped out of my seat completely.
There is a scene with the shield where they use a 3D to the fullest where you cannot help. You'll get whiplash watching that scene. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, the whole audience went, oh!
I still think back to that. I was like, God damn, they got me good with that one.
Well, it's a guy throwing a shield, right? It shouldn't come back to him. right? And that was the joke. I think Peter was having his big problem. And that's the thing is Captain America's a strategist. Sometimes he throws it and it doesn't because he's out in the open. But a lot of the time he's in enclosed space and you watch him plan to bounce shit off walls and it bounces back to him because that's how he planned it. So there's an old Australian joke that says, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back to you? A stick. I don't know. I thought it was funny, but they think about that and they sell you on the
physics look good.
Yeah, they totally look good. They completely work on that level. There's two things we need to talk about before we wrap this up that are very important. Or I'm sorry, one. We just did the 3D.
Okay.
Haley Atwell. Okay, first off, she is the hottest chick in Hollywood next to Scarlett Johansson right now, in my personal opinion. I think she's fucking incredibly hot, and this is really her big like step out premiere for her. Like this is her like top level film release where she's like, all right, here I am, check me out. And she plays the love interest, Peggy Carter, who will most likely not be in the Avengers.
Well, it won't be Haley Atwell, it'll just be some old woman.
She'll be some 98-year-old woman. And it's nice because they take a while before they show you how sexy she is.
At first I go like, oh, she's pretty, and then they pull out, and I go like, oh, ma'am, could you turn your headlights down?
Yeah. Well, no doubt. She is a large-breasted woman, to be clear. But I like that they sell you first on her force of personality, on her sense of humor, on the fact that she is like really physically capable, not just in the sack, gentlemen. Although
leave your fantasies out of this.
I can't help but imagine.
All right. Back on track.
Hold on. I'm still imagining.
The movie.
But when they finally they take this chance, and there's quite a ways into it where she's dressed like a woman. She's sexy, dressed up. Everybody just went, oh, shit. God damn, girl. She's got bumpers.
I gotta say, there's something about her, especially in her face, that just reminded me of Kayla the whole time. It's something in the way the bone structure.
She had a face? No, I'm kidding. She's gorgeous.
But you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
she is a knockout.
I think she's one of those. I've seen her in a couple different things now, and I've always loved her for both the fact that she's sexy as she is, and I think she's an incredible performer, and I think she's gonna be a big star. I really do.
Well, you don't have anybody in here acting wise. There's nobody in here where you go like, that guy's kind of not carrying his weight.
Yeah. No, I think everybody, even people I expected they were going to overdo it with, they didn't. Like Stanley Tucci as the German scientist. I thought they're just going to play him for laughs and he'll be too exaggerated. And no, he's played very, very likable.
Well, you just love him.
Yeah.
I mean, his character is very similar to, as far as the structure of the film, to the scientists who work with Tony Stark in the cave.
Yeah.
Where you're like, man, I just love that guy. I hope
nothing bad.
I hope nothing bad happens to him.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up and go ahead and give our reviews. I might surprise you a little bit because like I said, even though I think everything here is in the right place on the whole, I didn't respond to it as strongly as I hoped I would. I really did like it genuinely a lot, but I can't quite give it a full price. I'm going to give it a high and even enthusiastic matinee.
Damn.
But it is a film I want to see a second time, and I suspect if I saw it a second time, I would like it even more.
Oh, well, this is easily a full price movie for me. I mean, maybe in the beginning I thought, it might only be a high matinee, but like I said, it does the thing that I love for a movie to do, is get better as it goes. I'm so used to him petering out early on, but it really does. I mean, by the end, I was like, wow, that's an experience I'm really glad I had, and I look forward to seeing this movie again. Just by the virtue alone of having great 3D throughout the entire movie, even just little stuff in the background, they really did great 3D on it. I mean, that's a treat in itself. It's like to win me over to 3D.
Can you believe it was in post-production?
What do you mean?
It was a post-conversion 3D film.
Was it really?
It really was, believe it or not. Yeah.
Well, god damn.
I know. Well, apparently they have some new process for doing it now, and I guess it works.
Okay.
So no longer can that be the standard in which whether or not to decide to see something.
So now James Cameron can't push his camera on everybody else.
I guess not.
Ooh, well, even all right. Maybe I give it a high. I'm giving it a high full price. Then.
Apparently, doing action sequences like lots of movement looks weird with 3D cameras. Like it doesn't work that well. At least that's what Joe Johnston said about it. So he filmed it in 2D entirely because of that. Because there's so much action and movement. And
right.
Constantly a bunch of shit going on screen at once. And And by doing it in 3D, that way he can really focus specifically on the elements he wants to bring
Well,
out.
I tell you that what impressed me the most was how the 3D was working on scenes where there's no action going on at all.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the way he brought to life Brooklyn from the 40s.
Yeah.
And it just made me think about that movie Sky Captain and the World Tomorrow. I was so looking forward to it, and then when it finally came out, I was like, ugh, this is just so fake, and this story means nothing. And this was the complete opposite of that. This is absolutely a full price movie. It's one of my favorite movies I've seen this year.
Yeah.
And while I probably enjoyed Thor more, I have an equal level of appreciation for this movie.
So you know what this means now, right, Leon?
What's that?
One more chink in your armor of your big theory of the Avengers is going to be terrible. He's been saying ever since the beginning, it's not going to happen. And then it changed it. Okay, it'll probably happen, but it's going to be bad because there's no way they'll make all those movies good leading up to it. But now all those movies have come out.
Well, you're right.
They were all good.
You're right.
So what happens now?
I guess you get to say I was wrong.
Not till the actual Avengers comes out.
What, you don't believe? Are you saying if?
Dude, I'm a critic. I don't put too much faith in anything.
You don't think your God, Joss Whedon, can pull it together?
Dude, I'm an agnostic atheist. I'm not sure there's a Joss Whedon. There might be.